Welcome to the Jerry Graves channel. This is a channel that talks about narcissism and everything in between. I want to go ahead and jump straight into the topic. Without further ado, let's get it. All right, so your narcissist really analyzes you. They're constantly analyzing you. And this is something that you have to do to them as well. You have to study them, study their habits, what they do, what makes them tick, like try to get inside their head without going crazy yourself. But basically the narcissist, they like to analyze what your strengths are and your weaknesses and what irritates you. It's just one of those things where it's like that's where they want to center the fight around. It's not just necessarily fighting and just being in conflict just to be in conflict. They want to know that when the fight goes down between you and them, especially at work, that we're talking about your flaw. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about their flaw. And that's one of the things that makes it very difficult because they are the ones attacking you. You're the one who's on defense. So they get to determine the topic and the situation. So at the end of the day, they don't choose a situation unless it's your fault or you're bad, the one thing that you did wrong. So now we need to argue about that. And then if it gets to the boss, you know what I'm saying? It's not about how great you were because you've done everything fabulous since you've been here. You're the best employee there. But we're talking grain of salt with you that's petty, you know. But the boss is going to get you straight on that. They're going to take that seriously, and that's the whole plan. And that's the hard part about playing defense is that they are choosing and they choose strategically when the fight's going to happen. So the best thing to do is not to go into it, like not to fight them on that. Step back, never try to take the bait. Basically, you know what I mean. Never take the bait. The problem with not taking the bait is that when you are being attacked or harassed by a narcissist, they are quickly trying to take over your life, so you want to sit up there and kind of give boundaries and you know what I mean, gives a little bit of a pushback, but you you end up getting to the point where you're taking the bait by trying to give them a pushback, trying to set a boundary, trying not to be rolled over. That's when you end up taking the bait. If you don't know when to push back, but pay attention to those times where um, when somebody repeatedly hits you with the same type of thing, you know what I'm saying, over and over again. They aren't just harassing you about whatever, they're focusing on the one little thing. That's when you know that it's not about pushing back per se, don't take the bait and just sit back and you can give in that situation. You don't have to fight every time. So you don't fight and you give it. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do this. And it sounds like okay, that's simple, but it's not, because again, I'm not talking about just always. I'm talking about because it's not simple, because they can always find that one thing. They can always just if you give in this time, they can go and study you some more and then find the next thing to do it. So it's not like, oh, obviously you just give in and that's the end of the battle. It's like, no, it's a war. It's not just a battle. They're going to find something else. It's just not going in, basically not going in unprepared for it. That's the main thing that you need to focus on, is that if you are going to engage, if you are going to um, go against them, make sure that you're talking about their flaws. It's a, you know what I mean? You don't want to go in and on the defensive. You want to go in and make sure the battle that we're talking about when we go into that office, that we're not talking to the boss about my flaws here. We're talking about the narcissist flaws. So me and the narcissist, we had our debate, or not that you should even be arguing, but if it does happen, it was about something that they did. So at the end of the day, the boss is going to want to correct somebody. They're going to want to believe that the problem can be solved, because most people who are in charge at work, they don't understand that sometimes that people are just at war with someone. It's not about just coming up with a solution like, okay, well then you do this and then you do that second and then it's done. Most of these problems that you argue about, you could easily solve it yourself. The person who's nitpicking on you is just basically at war with you. So they're just going to find anything. And most of the time, the boss doesn't want that to be true. Like, they don't want to believe that, even though they kind of have an idea that that's what it is. They want to believe that they figured out the right mix of people. So then it's like, I want to still give this a chance. So you know what, you just do this and you just do that, and everything should be fine. But it's never going to be fine. They're going to always have a problem. So the main idea of the video is, when you do have the fight, if you are going to have an argument with the narcissist at your job, don't do it based off of just them harassing you, and then you go in and you want to talk about the harassment. Like, you can do that depending on how severe the harassment is. But I'm saying consider. Now, matter of fact, when I say don't, always question your anything that anybody tells you. Go off your own instincts. So if you feel like you need to go in because you're being harassed, that's something you should do. But I'm saying, if it's not so bad that it's like, you know, if it's not really bad, don't go in there and have the fight with them and then try to argue your point about them harassing you at that point, when you are already kind of in the wrong. Or, you know what I'm saying, it's something that they nitpicked, like you didn't follow the rules 100% of the way, and then now the boss is like, well, technically, you were wrong, blah blah. You don't want to go in there like that. You wait for that situation to clear, and then you pick the one thing that they do wrong, and then you have a, nah, I wouldn't say necessarily even start a fight. You go to your boss about that, or, you know what I mean. So now they have to explain themselves at the end of the argument. They have to explain themselves as to why are they breaking the rules here, you know. And that's what I'm talking about, is controlling the narrative, controlling the topic. You know what I mean? And that's all I got, though. Peace.